Okay, Brenda, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. My name is Branda Lynn. I'm a candidate for Irvine Mayor. I was born and raised in Irvine. I went to every level of public school in the Irvine, and I even graduated from the University of California, Irvine, with a bachelor's in music performance as well as political science. In the last 4 to 5 years, I've been running a nonprofit called Irvine Watchdog. It's to promote transparency, accountability, and honesty in our local government. And I've watched nearly every city council meeting in the last 4 years, as well as the vast majority of Orange County Power Authority meetings. I have a passion for informing residents to empower residents.
I know it could be a long answer, but what really motivated you to come out and vote for this elected official office?
I believe very strongly we need a new mayor. In the last year and a half, the residents in our community and the public has been pushed out in ways we haven't seen in our city's 51-year history. It's resulted in an ACLU letter regarding censorship, a letter from the League of Women Voters regarding an undemocratic agenda policy. There's also an ongoing FBI investigation regarding public corruption, and I believe very strongly we need to focus back on our community and bring back ethical leadership.
Is that why you co-founded Watchdog? What's the mission of it and why?
The mission of Watchdog originally was to promote transparency, accountability, and honesty in our local government. The why is because we really don't have local journalists anymore. And if you look at all the news sources, the major channels, they're all based in LA. We don't have any in Orange County. We have the LA Times, the Orange County Register, but they've also dwindled in the number of reporters. So we really don't have anybody watching the local municipal decisions that are being made in Irvine City Council and Irvine City Hall. A group of residents and I, across all political parties, because really these seats are nonpartisan seats at the municipal level, we decided to commit ourselves to reporting on these decisions that are being made because they directly impact us, right, at the local level. And we wanted to engage residents, inform residents so that they're part of the decision-making process. And I felt an obligation, seeing what I was seeing, knowing what I knew, to report on everything that was happening.
If you could just point out the one specific issue or concerns that you think the biggest one in your city, what could that be? And also, how would you like to address it when you become a mayor?
Sure. I think currently one of the biggest issues is the Orange County Power Authority, which Irvine initiated. It impacts the cities of Buena Park, Huntington Beach, Fullerton, as well as Irvine. And it's been mismanaged, and it's been an example of cronyism since day one. And I've reported on the Orange County Power Authority, and one of my articles actually was even cited in the Orange County grand jury report that came out. We need to make sure that we replace the 2 Irvine representatives on the board to get qualified leadership, to get experienced leadership. The CEO who was hired, he did not have a college degree at the time. He had 0 energy experience. And if you look at every other community choice energy program in the state and you compare the CEOs, they all had at least 15 to 20 years experience. This has led to a fine of almost $2 million from the CPUC. And there was also a workplace harassment lawsuit against him. And yet he's still our CEO. We need to replace and get qualified leaders to get things on track.
We remember some of the names like Larry Agram, Ms. Beckham, even including Mr. Kang, Mr. Choi. He's still running out there. You talked about the FBI investigation and the city government is corrupted. Could you be more specific about those names and also the item that the FBI has a strong interest in?
Sure. So it was just released this year, and it's involving our current mayor's campaign consultant. And she was arrested by the FBI for a plan to bribe 2 of our Irvine City Council members for a favorable cannabis ordinance. So the FBI arrested her, and then she became an informant for the Anaheim Stadium deal. Regarding the other former electeds that you mentioned, they're not part of the FBI investigation as far as my understanding. I know it's ongoing. I am aware of several individuals who have been brought in by the FBI to give their testimony. And so hopefully we'll see the results of that soon.
When it comes to representation of minority in the city, do you think they haven't represented enough, or do you think we are still hungry? And do you think there's things to be improved about?
I believe absolutely there are ways to improve, and that's something I'm passionate about doing. Because of my love for and passion for informing residents, what I'd love to see, because Irvine is very diverse, and though we have a diverse city council, the residents in our city still feel like they're not represented and they still feel unheard. And one thing I'd love to do is create within the Public Information Office a relationship with all the ethnic media news sources. So for instance, 중앙일보, the Korea Daily, the World Journal, and making sure that our city disseminates information to these ethnic news sources so they can give their readers information on what's happening on the local level. Irvine is a large city, 310,000 residents and growing, and we need to make sure that all our residents know about these major decisions that are impacting their lives most directly at the municipal level. So what I'd love to see is a relationship built, the city giving these news sources information so they can make sure that it's in the various languages, because Irvine Watchdog tried to do this and have volunteers translate, and it was a lot of work. I think it'd be a lot better to give it to the professionals, have them inform their readers of what's happening on the local level, and then as well as what transpires after the vote, so that we make sure. I believe in a very strong local democracy, and we need to make sure that residents are informed on these decisions, have a chance, have a voice to speak up, and then are able to also hold the city council accountable.
I know there are a lot of Korean Americans there for education, for their business, good environment they want to live in. Have you talked to them enough? And also, what are the comments you got from those voters or non-citizen or the Korean Americans or the Koreans from Korea?
From Korea, the Korean community specifically? There are a lot of small business owners. I did hear about a lot of the hardship during COVID-19 and how, there wasn't enough rent relief. I know of some that had to actually close down that had been long-standing members in our community, within the small business community. Regarding, for instance, the All-American Asphalt issue, that's an ongoing public health, public safety concern. And within the Korean community, I know there's been a lot of concern because a lot of the homes that were purchased in that area where the asphalt plant is are owned by Koreans. And they really don't know what's going on. And there's been no reach out from the city to the Korean community. That's something I'd love to increase, again, by working with the ethnic media sources that already exist, that are the professionals, giving them the information to their readers and empowering them in that way. A lot of times, these ethnic communities, they don't know how to navigate, as well as our city at large. A lot of our residents don't know how to navigate our municipal government. And that's what I was doing with Irvine Watchdog in the last 4 years. Whether it's an issue I believe in or not, I believe everyone's voices deserve to be heard. And so people have questions. When are council meetings? How do I show up? When do I get to speak? And that was, something I helped these various community groups do, and show up, let their voices be heard, and bring them into the decision-making process, which is what was needed in local government.
Have you talked to Mr. Kang or Mr. Choi? Did they give you any advice?
I have not reached out to Assemblymember Stephen Choi. I do go to church with his son. And former Mayor Suki Kang, I have met with him over the years. He and my father went to the same university in Korea University. And he's been, he really helped pave the way for Korean Americans. And he's been a leader and within the Korean community, and someone I respect a whole lot. And I did inform him, as well as all the current city council members, of my decision to run. And when I pulled papers, I called each of them, because ultimately we all need to have a working relationship. And yes, I did reach out to former Mayor Suki Kang.
Another Korean American is running for this mayor race, and also we have other two, including incumbent, other competitors. What do you think the race is being unfolded? How do you figure this situation right now with the race?
There was a local newspaper that came out, and it did say that my campaign had the strongest chance against the incumbent. I have received support from all political parties. I have Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, and not NPPs, no party preference, residents, because I think through my work with Irvine Watchdog, I really focus on issues. And that's why I really love municipal government. These are nonpartisan seats, and I believe partisanship leads to nothing, and has led to nothing good in Irvine. It's about focusing on issues, bringing the community together, because at the end of the day, we're all neighbors. and finding solutions together as a community with the local government. And really I'm part of the community. I've been part of the community, having been born and raised in Irvine. I think that gives me a unique background as well. There's no other candidate who was born and raised in Irvine, at least for the mayor's seat. And I have 2 young children who are school-aged in our public schools, which again, I would be the first one to have school-aged children on the city council. So these things, I think, bring a unique perspective. And I think just my track record in the last several years being committed to and hyper-focused on Irvine and our Irvine municipal government and the decisions being made, and it's given me a lot of credibility and a lot of support from the community. And it's a grassroots effort. It's been really exciting because it's bringing people together to focus on these issues that are about our home. And so that's why I love municipal government issues.
Who do you think is the most strongest competitor? You said the incumbent one?
I would say the incumbent, yes. She is backed by a lot of special interests. I am making sure that my support is coming from the community and the residents. I don't have any ties to any political party. I'm running independent of political party support, and it's really about the people of Irvine. There's been so much frustration in the last several years because of the failed leadership on so many issues, and finally having this opportunity to advocate for and to stand up for the residents who have felt unheard and who have been pushed out for so long. It's just an exciting opportunity I'm very thankful for.
As a resident, also this 4 years of running this watchdog in the city, and also you've been a commissioner with the city council too. What point would you give to Ms. Khan when it comes to her performance in the range of 1 to 100?
1 to 100. Full disclosure, I fully supported our current mayor. I was her commissioner, and she appointed me to the Community Services Commission. And so I served my full term for 2 years before she became mayor. I am appreciative of her efforts. There are a lot of great ideas that were brought forward, but the problem was there was no follow-up. We need measurable deliverables. We need to set deadlines and goals and make sure that we follow throughout the term. And that's what we haven't seen. So now, even though we pushed for a climate action plan, we still have no climate action plan. Even though she had advocated for the All-American Asphalt plant concerns and the residents that live there, and she was out there protesting, we still don't have a plan to move forward. And for the first year and a half, I want to mention, for the first year and a half, over 15 items of public concern were refused a public hearing. The very first policy item that was brought forth after our current mayor got elected was an agenda-setting policy that prevented over 15 items. These were the most important items to Irvine residents. They showed up to city council meetings, lined up to speak, and yet they were refused a public hearing and a public open discussion for the first year and a half. That was an example, and that's what started this series of failed leadership on numerous issues. And that's why I decided to run. I've been advocating for these community groups. I've written numerous articles on all these various issues because I care, and I think it matters that the voices of the residents are represented and that they're heard and that we find solutions.
Now it's time for you to talk to your constituents, Koreans, Chinese, whoever out there, the people that you grew up with. What would you like to tell them to vote for you?
Well, first, I want to thank you if you're watching, for engaging. Local elections, they really matter. These are the decisions that most directly impact us. So thank you for paying attention. Please get to know all the candidates. And if there's a candidate that you believe in and you support, help us out. For me, my candidacy and my campaign, this is a grassroots effort, all just Irvine residents coming together because we believe we need change. Thank you for participating. Thank you for paying attention. Please get out and vote. If you've never voted before, please register. Your voices matter, and these are your tax dollars at the end of the day. So let's make sure they're used wisely and ultimately that they benefit us. And thank you so much for being here.